Hello, I am Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the Macha and Morrigu debut Godfest that's occurring right now in North America and EU. So, with the changes to the reg machine as well as the full disclosure of rolling rates, Godfest now have a very different format or layout than they did in the past. And because of this, it's maybe a little bit more confusing to navigate as well as trying to think whether or not it's actually worthwhile rolling. So again, this is kind of learning from my part as well. So if my format will possibly change as the Godfests, we get more used to this type of format that's being delivered. But essentially, Godfests now no longer have these rate increases, and instead they do things called highlights. So they will highlight specific cards, and those ones will have increased rolling rates. Now, in the case of Godfest, they only highlight the 6-star Godfest exclusives. So not only are they available now to roll, but they have higher rates than they would have been. But it makes no sense when you think about it because they couldn't be rolled anyways. So just sounds strange in my head. But the general idea is Godfests are still the best time to roll the reg machine because it is the only chance you have to acquire 6-star Godfest exclusives, which are for the most part the strongest cards in the game. So this Godfest actually just has no name, it just says Godfest, and it will feature the debut of Macha and Morrigu. Hopefully I say those names correctly, and these are two new 6-star Godfest exclusives, so you're only able to acquire them during Godfest, and they do have an interesting kit, and I will discuss about that more shortly. So during this event, 20 6-star Godfest exclusives will be highlighted, but that also means quite a few will actually not even be featured whatsoever. So if you look at this chart here, it basically shows that what is available, the 20 that are available, and then that's 11 that are not available. So perhaps even just showcasing what is not available is almost just as important as what is available, because you may forget thinking, oh, I needed a Dark Cali, but oh wait, it's not featured. Oh, that's unfortunate. So with these Godfests, like, you have to try and pick and choose what is more important to you because the pool of available monsters is significantly smaller. And by that I mean each card that is actually currently available has a significantly higher chance of being rolled compared to beforehand. Like, let's just imagine we're back in time in 2017. All those 6-star Godfest exclusives would be available in the reg machine along with every single Pantheon as well as a bunch of other 4-star crap. Now they took out all the 4-star crap, and then they've kind of truncated the 5-star and 6-star Pantheon cards available to a smaller amount. So each card has a significantly higher chance of being rolled, even if the rolling rates are still similar as to what they were before. It's just that it's much easier to actually snipe that desired card. So this is going to basically be forcing players to be very patient and just wait for the opportune Godfest, because you want to try and make sure you have as much overlapping key targets as possible. So you want to wait for those ideal Pantheon cards to be featured, and then obviously have a Godfest that has the 6 stars you actually want to basically improve your odds of actually acquiring something of true value. So from the disclosed rolling rates, 6-star Godfest exclusives will have a 0.6% chance of being rolled each for a grand total of 12% of any 6-star Godfest exclusive. So maybe that's a bit higher, maybe it's not, but at least we're informed as to whether or not we should be spending our magic stones at this point in time. So Matcha is one of the new 6-star Godfest exclusives, and it's going to be one of the most desired cards in the game because they have the leader swapping inheritable active skill. So the only other, like, our first taste of the inheritable leader swap active skill was through the Dragon Bound and Dragon Collar reg machine with Lee. And with Lee, you are able to essentially enter a dungeon with a leader that gives you some sort of perk or benefit, such as 7x6 or Ganesha for bonus experience and gold, and then you inherit Lee on top of your truly desired leader and then swap them into place, and then you get either the perk or benefit of Ganesha or the 7x6 board while having your ideal leaders still in place. So this is actually very important because let's use this for example. Let's say I really love playing Anubis, but Anubis is hard to do. It's hard to make 8+ combos every single turn on a 6x5 board. Now, if we were to utilize a Lee Inherit on, say, Diao Chan, utilize Lee Inherit on Anubis, but enter the dungeon with a Diao Chan and pair with a friend Anubis. So when you enter, you have Diao Chan and Anubis as your leaders. Not so great, but eventually you can swap your Anubis that you've been using as a sub and swap it into the leader spot, and Diao Chan becomes your sub. Diao Chan is still a desirable sub, so this is actually not a bad scenario. So now you would actually have double Anubis And then you would also have a 7x6 board. Now hitting those 8+ combos becomes much more doable and easy, and you've just basically given yourself maximum multiplier basically every single turn without as much stress or effort. So this is quite exciting because it's basically opening the doors to these high skill combo count leaders. But leader swapping into 7x6 is not only restricted to those types of teams, it actually makes every other team significantly more powerful. But I want to pay close attention to color cross teams. So color cross teams are teams that basically utilize a color cross, obviously, and they want to match multiple of them on a given board. However, if you're using, say, a color cross team that uses multiple colors, the most you could ever do is 3 on a 6x5 board. You just don't have the space to actually include more. But on a 7x6 board, you can get the 4th and 5th crosses, and then your damage just shoots out of control. Like, everything just gets blown up and obliterated. So by actually being able to use, like, say, a 7x6 leader with, say, Roshana, yes, she's still viable in 6x5, but on 7x6 she's so much more powerful. It can basically catapult these leaders into much higher relevancy. And this applies to a lot of other leaders out there that may not be as top tier on 6x5, but when you can access 7x6, suddenly they become so much more powerful and viable. So obviously, Matcha's main appeal is going to be that leader swap ability, and in fact, she actually has a 1 turn less cooldown than Lee, as well as having a stronger secondary benefit. So it's better to have Matcha overall, I feel, than Lee for the inheritance point of view. However, Matcha does still have an interesting leader skill. She does provide 10 times damage when you're 80% or more. So double Matcha is 100 times as long as you're 80% health or more. You could build some interesting speed farming teams. Might be good for like those 90-second descend rushes if those ever come back. It's just something interesting to keep in mind, but for the most part, she is going to be that desirable inherit. So the next new 6-star Godfest exclusive is Morrigu. And in this day and age, we are facing bosses with outrageous mechanics. Like, they do some crazy and silly things at this point in time, and it's kind of forcing players to start matching really strange patterns, because right now we need the column of hearts for resolves, we need the box or 3x3 square or for the box awakening to pierce through the damage voids, as well as numerous combos to actually activate those high multipliers. So when you're trying to fit in a box, a follow-up attack, and many combos, it's not exactly a very feasible or easy scenario. So obviously you can use 7x6, but a lot of other players have been looking into utilizing plus combo counts to help you match those patterns and then have enough combos compensated for you to hit the required damage threshold. So up until this point in time, we've been utilizing active skills with +2 combos and some sort of secondary benefit. Now, Morrigu is different and unique in that they provide +3 combo counts. So this is the first one that does. So +3 sounds really amazing, but the thing is there's no secondary benefit and it is on an 18 turn cooldown. So that's an incredibly long cooldown, as well as only providing +3 combo count. Yes, that can be very helpful in certain scenarios, but the problem is these bonus combo counts, we only utilize them for these strange niche scenarios where we need to have high combos as well as funny patterns. So those are usually those one-shot challenges or challenge level 10s or any other like campaigns like the Zeus or Hera campaigns. Like, it's really niche where we actually utilize this. But the thing is, in those dungeons, we need to dedicate as many active skills as possible to surviving the dungeon. And if Morrigu is only going to provide you a +3 combo count and nothing else, it may not be enough. Because let's use Unawoken Uichi as an example. Unawoken Uichi is able to produce a tri-elemental board with hearts as well as +2 combo count on a much shorter cooldown. So you've solved your board problem, so you have a board that can actually form the pattern you require, as well as giving you the bonus combo count all in one active. Yes, it's not +3, but +2 is usually enough for the most part. So Morrigu sounds cool, but it's not really going to be that great. If the cooldown was much shorter, perhaps it could be utilized a lot better because it wouldn't be as hard to bring it up, and then maybe something else can be worked around it. But the problem is you're using basically 2 actives to solve a problem that could have been done with 1. So this is why I feel Morrigu is not going to be as desirable or as powerful overall compared to Matcha. So it is interesting. It does provide something that nothing else does in the game, but at this point in time, we don't actually really need to utilize them. Oh shoot, my screen just froze. Nope, we're back. Okay, so Pantheon and 5-star Godfest exclusive highlights. So with Godfest taking place at this point in time, there will actually be no highlights for your Pantheons or your 5-star Godfest exclusives, because the highlight section is completely dominated by 6-star Godfest exclusives. So that means if you look at the rolling rates outside of Godfest, you'll notice that there are a bunch of cards highlighted, and everything else has, for the most part, I believe, a bit higher rolling rates. But when Godfests occur, those 6-star Pantheons that are being highlighted lose that highlight status and go and drop down to 0.64% chance of being rolled. And obviously that's not that great. That's actually making them on par of 6-star Godfest exclusives. But you've basically diluted the better non-6-star Godfest exclusives in order to make space for those during Godfests. So you may think, well, I really want those 6-star Pantheons, but the thing is, you can roll a 6-star Pantheon while there's a Godfest active. You cannot roll a 6-star Godfest exclusive when there is no Godfest present. So yes, you are better able to acquire 6-star Pantheon cards outside of Godfest, but the thing is, it's too much opportunity cost. Like, for the most part, 6-star Godfest exclusives are the strongest cards in the game. You obviously want to try and maximize your chances of acquiring them, so you still want to wait for those Godfests. Even though those Pantheon cards don't have the highlight anymore, it's still a better time overall for the most part. So that's just something that I found kind of interesting. I was kind of half hoping that the highlighted Pantheon 5-star Godfest exclusive or 6-star Pantheons kept that highlight status, but unfortunately they did not. I guess it was kind of coming. It was somewhat inevitable. And the lesser 5-star non-Pantheon cards, like the Rider series, like, they still have pretty high rolling rates. So I still think Godfests are a little bit better overall, mostly because the condensing of available cards. So too long didn't read. Still roll in Godfest. Don't chase those Pantheon cards outside of Godfest, because you might as well have as much opportunity to roll something valuable as possible. So now we come to kind of collabs versus Godfest. So we've seen with Monster Hunter that, yes, it's a 10-stone machine, so maybe the rates are a little higher, but we did have pretty healthy rolling rates overall. 2% chance for the 7 stars and 5.22 for all the 6 stars. So your Diamond Egg rolling chance was actually quite high for the Monster Hunter collab. Maybe future collabs that are only 5 stones might have slightly different rolling rates, but let's just assume that other collabs, like say Dragonbound, Dragon Caller, have these same rolling rates, which wouldn't be surprising. Now, right now, Matcha has a 0.6% chance of being rolled, but Lee is a 6-star card, and if Lee retains, like the Dragonbound Dragon Caller retains the same rolling rates as Monster Hunter, both 10-stone machines, Lee might have around a 5% chance of being rolled overall. So if you're chasing for that leader swap active, in theory, waiting for a Dragonbound Dragon Caller event to come back with these new rolling rates is probably the better bet for acquiring a leader swap active skill. And also, it may mean collabs might be sometimes stronger than Godfest, because if the lowest value card in a collab is quite powerful, like say Dragonbound Dragon Caller, it's a good time to actually roll it. So I've lost my page, which is quite unfortunate. I don't know what's wrong with my internet, but I'm just going to go back to myself for here quick and hopefully scroll. So with all that in mind, in conclusion, like, this new format of Godfest is still, I think, favorable overall for the general player, because we have a better chance of sniping key cards as well as filtering out junk for the most part. Now, 6-star Godfest exclusives are still going to be quite rare. They only have a 12% chance of being rolled overall and 0.6 for each individual one. Maybe future Godfest may have better rolling rates if special events do occur, but for the most part, I still think Godfests are reasonably strong. But if you are chasing Matcha, it's not really worthwhile. Like, again, chasing one card is rarely going to work out in your favor. It's better to try and hit as many as possible. So with that in mind, you might have to be patient. You may not want to actually roll this Godfest because you want to try and wait for better Pantheons to be featured, as well as better Godfest exclusives for your unique and individual monster box. So let me know what you think about this, like these new Godfest formats in the comments below. How do you feel about the 2 new cards? And as well as any suggestions you think for improving my own formatting, because I'm still trying to figure out what's the best way to deliver this information. Hopefully you all have a Mantastic day. Wish you all the best of luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.